Hey! The last digit of your like on this video by each who you are from Melon Playground, and the last digit of your subscription to my channel will show your Melon Playground item. So go down right now, subscribe and give me a like. Look at the screen. Notice the last digit of your like and your subscription and write in the comments who you are from Melon Playground. It's simple, if your like is number 8 and the last digit of your subscription is number 5, you're a lemon and a cactus. Show your imagination and enjoy the show.
Hello, dear friends. You're on the Melon Fonk channel. In this video, I'm going to show you the very first versions of Melon Playground. But before I start the video, I want to say a huge thank you to these guys for being in my video. If you want to be in my next video, there are a few things you need to do. 1, you need to subscribe to my channel. 2, you need to like it. 3rd, write your top comment of 4 words or more, and don't forget to watch this video from beginning to end. It's very simple to fulfill all these conditions and have fun watching. In this video, we will dive into the world of hindsight and look at the very first versions in Melon Playground 1.0. Then, it is far from it. In fact, the very first version is considered to be the game called Human Playground 0.1. It's kind of like a beta version of our favorite game. And looking at 0.1, honestly, it doesn't even come close to resembling Melon Playground. Initially, we are greeted by 2 absolutely gray and unremarkable NPCs, which in no way resemble the NPCs from our game or even resemble the NPCs from People's Playground, except only in form. And yet we don't even have such a thing as customization. We cannot edit the sounds, and in principle cannot even go to the menu because it is simply absent. The only button on the bottom left, it just leaves the game. And frankly, it's even funny, but something still reminds us of the new versions of Melon Playground and its NPC, which after gray turns for some reason into green. Why this happens, it is unclear. It's clear it's a beta, but it's already the germs of our favorite game called Melon Playground. The physics, of course, leave a lot to be desired. It's probably not even worth talking about physics because it's as bad as it can be. But at the same time, we discount the fact that this is just a beta version of the game as a whole is not very much like the background of this background, looks very good in contrast with other objects, and it would be great if the developers added this background in our game, because in the first place it would be more convenient to create different footage for YouTube, and this will probably sound strange, but in fact it is and is in various programs for editing easier to do it when the background is green or blue. It really speeds up the process many times. And because of that background, we could just create new and interesting concepts. So it would be the perfect background for a YouTuber. I would even call it a background for a creator. I mean, something like that. And basically, developers can do that. If you look, be sure to add something like this in the game. Something green or blue background is actually convenient items in this version, is very little we see here, 1 grenade, some very strange obscure object, and it looks something like a radio, a couple of daggers and some strange orange block. I understand it is a tree in the section. But it looks, of course, absurd. There's a very cool slowdown, which even, as far as I'm concerned, works better than in the newer versions of Melon Playground. In fact, this version is actually good because it is maximally optimized. Here is a minimum number of bugs and various lags, which are now very much in our Melon Playground. Various mechanics, as in the new versions, there is no. But in general, the game already looks at the embryo stage as a good potential substitute for People Playground, though obviously it doesn't have enough stars from the sky. And just think, who would have thought that this game would become so popular? And it could very well now at this point in time fight as a very good People Playground clone. Despite the fact that People Playground obviously still looks much better, but simply because it is still a computer game, in principle for any portable devices. In principle, any physics and degrees of destruction and even grenade for our NPC does not carry any absolute threat in general. This version reminded me like old photos that we revisited in the albums of their parents, because it is in fact and is a child who is now essentially in some of his mature age. And if we compare this version with version 1.0, we can see a huge difference. First of all, the background has already changed, and it is familiar gray, although there are some strange meshes on it which are unpleasant to the eye. Basically, the main menu, for some reason, it is all somehow repulsive, but at the same time, it already looks good. There are some mechanics, some physics at a less adequate level is present. A huge number of items, for example, appeared, just a mass of cold weapons, well as a mass of only 9 items. But at the same time, it is something, despite the fact that in 0.1 we essentially had only a hammer and a knife, which in no way carried harm to our Milan. The really weird thing about this version seems to be the degree of bone destruction. So basically, Milan suffers absolutely no damage from cold weapons at all. And it is understandable because even then the developers were not engaged, in principle, adding this mechanic. And for version 1.0, it is forgivable. But agree, even at this stage, the game looks pretty good. For example, Melon Playground's direct competitor called Fruit Playground is still about at this level, as far as I'm concerned. How many times I tried to shoot content about this game, and I always somehow did not succeed, simply because this game is as raw as possible, although updates are released everywhere, but for some reason, as for me, they're all very bad. Write in the comments in defense of Fruit Playground. A few arguments, and if you will be so many, we will probably compare these games head-to-head and see which game is better. Although, as far as I'm concerned, Fruit Playground is much worse than Melon Playground. I don't know why that's the case. By the way, I have the beta version of Melon Playground in my Telegram channel. The link will be in the pinned comment. Be sure to go and just dive a little bit into the history of Melon Playground. I think you will be interested in it, also version 1.0. In contrast to its beta version, has already acquired firearms. Whole physics is pretty good. Weapons, of course, not as much as in the new version, but in general it's not bad. But despite all the advantages of this version, it is certainly still weak at that moment. Approximately recorded his video, legendary about our game. Turbo himself is such a popular YouTuber, and after that the game went on the rise in the following versions of his name is often seen in the main menu screen thanks to Turbo. The game became popular, so Turbo is still, he is a legend of our game, and he still posts videos about Chalk Playground and what's next. And what's next is the story, because the next games kept showing us the progression of the game. Very big update Enlightenment where achievements were added. You can remember Update 13.0. It was with this update that I started my YouTube channel about this game, and what will be next is already a story. And as for me, this update came out pretty good too. You can remember Christmas update for me. It's some nice warm memories where gifts were added, where I released New Year updates, some New Year releases, and everyone was happy. There weren't as many bugs, or the bugs were just plain easier. Now it's as if things have gotten better, but it's also as if they've gotten more complicated. There are a lot more bugs, but also more items, mechanics, physics. Remember even the acid map that came out not too long ago. All this makes us think about the flow of time, which is endless, and which makes us enjoy the current moment. After all, if we don't, we'll just all go crazy together. On this pleasant note, I would like to bring my video to an end.